Another question. What I've always wanted to know about when it comes to atheism is morality.
Yeah.
What is the view of morality? Because obviously, as a Christian like me, of course, the morality comes from God. Like, we know good and evil, we know all these things. I've always wanted to know if, from an atheist, like the view of morality, where does it come from? How does it start? Like, I've always wanted to know, what do they believe?
It does depend on the person you're dealing with. I will admit
Because it varies.
it varies from person to person, but the general consensus is some kind of relative morality. How that morality is defined or structured is subjective to the person in question. However, it all comes down to mostly some kind of relative morality, which is stuff like, this is better than that, so I will do that. But they're not really defining why something is better than.
Yeah, it feels that is why. Like, why is it? What?
I feel that killing people is bad, but other people think it's right. So maybe it's right. It's kind of that idea is how they kind of go. And that would be definitely not what I kind of view now, but I have a feeling it's almost very, very close to what the Catholics teach as natural law, which is the innermost knowledge between right and wrong. And people are getting so close, are hinting that there's something right, but they won't accept that everybody has this inner thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain times when you've got mental health issues and those kind of things, whether you believe they're demonic or not, that some people do lose the ability to kind of maintain this. But in the general population, I do hold that most people do have almost an agreed upon, yet unspoken agreement on what right and wrong is. But whether that's cultural, whether that's spiritual, that's really what the atheist argument is about. Usually, the atheist argument is it is more cultural. You've grown up in a culture where it's wrong to kill people, it's wrong to steal, it's wrong to do this, that, and the other. So you don't do it. However, of course, if you go elsewhere, you may find that there's a culture where that's what you need to do to survive because, say, you're in the middle of a famine or you're in the middle of a war zone or something. However, if you kind of understood all of them, I would be willing to bet money if I was if I was a betting man, that they all act.
Are you a betting man?
I'm no, no.
Okay.
On the most part, no. On the most part, I'm not a fan of it. I don't really support it. I kind of go down the line of you've got free will, do what you want with it, and I will kind of encourage that. Not encourage the gambling, but encourage that you've got free will, gamble, do what you want.
Gamble responsibly.
But
What do you call nihilism?
the idea that life is pointless, and my housemate is actually a nihilist, or at least my ex-housemate was. I've just moved out, so he's technically not my ex, but he was one and was an agnostic.
Is it Dilla?
We don't have those conversations.
Us.
I tried, but it ended up just not really working out. We couldn't really get the conversations going and keep it going, and that dialogue.
Think of it though, because
I can understand why, and I can understand where it comes from. I would argue that life's not pointless because even assuming that there was no God, which I'm not saying that there isn't, people find meaning in their lives, whether that's earning money, building a family, living life experiences, everything like that. I mean, I do love experiencing things. I kind of like to do out of the ordinary quite a lot.
Yeah.
But nihilism, I would almost argue it comes from the depression epidemic that is currently rampaging in the Western world. And there's a big kind of epidemic of depression, anxiety, mental health issues throughout the Western world. And this is really contributing to that idea that life is pointless. And if you see, I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the stats of the rise of people say that life is pointless and the rise of suicide rates, I'm willing, again, it's kind of the same saying, I'm willing to bet that they would be very, very correlated. I know correlation doesn't mean causation, but
Yeah.
I can't see how if you think that life is pointless and that there's no meaning to it, why there wouldn't be those in the extremes that would then just go, I'm out then. but I wouldn't be surprised that the rise of that belief system has a direct correlation or association with the rise of all the mental health issues we are currently seeing in the modern day, which I might add seems to come in waves. It actually seems to come in waves where, having looked at the historical record of when these happen, it's a wave of every, I don't know the exact time scale, every few generations, every couple hundred years or something, there's actually an epidemic, and then it simmers away to nothing or very, very little. And you'll have maybe the odd one. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it'll grow and grow and grow, and there'll be an epidemic, and then it'll die away
It's up
again.
and down. Yeah.
It's constantly up and down, these waves of mental health kind of issues. If you want to call them that, if you want to call them spiritual attacks, you can call them whatever
Yeah.
you want. But it seems that at the moment we are in a big wave of mental health issues,
It's big.
particularly in the younger generations. I completely support when it's bad, and I think people should be given the help when it's bad. However, I also have a feeling that because people are going, the life is pointless, people are going, I can do what I want. There's almost a sense, and victim culture is a big one as well, that people are tending down the path of, I want to have a label so I can feel part of a group. And that's another part of it, is it's not just life is pointless, but I now need to feel like I'm part of something. So I'm going to self-diagnose this problem to try and kind of feel like I'm part of something.
Never want to be
Yeah.
possible,
And to an extent, that's partly pride as well. Is there's a lot of people that aren't part of the LGBTQ community that just want to feel part of something, so they will go and do it. And I know that's going to be a really, really unpopular opinion, but there is, and I stand by this, a big rise of people wanting to be part of something, so they'll do things not really realizing what they're doing, and actually it becoming really, really harmful in the long term.
Yeah. Oh man, that was really good. That was really deep.